Right, going to do a drug experience report. I don't know if it's going to be a quick one or a short one, but it's going to be another one on drug combinations. Specific drug combinations that I'm going to do it on, it's not going to be a specific drug combination, like just two drugs exactly. It's going to be on a specific subject. So the subject I'm going to choose for this one is stimulants combined with psychedelics. A lot of people are probably going to enjoy this. Only a few of them are going to experience this. It's a dangerous thing to do, combining any drugs. Taking drugs in general is often quite dangerous. Um, so I'm not advocating that you do that at all. I'm just sharing an opinion of my experience. Anyway, without further ado, I'll talk about my experiences. So, I'll first talk about like drugs such as caffeine, guarana, ginseng, and just other small stimulants that you could buy over the counter, combined with different hallucinogenics. So, anyway, I'll start, let's say, with maybe caffeine or ginseng or over the counter stuff combined with, for example, magic mushrooms and some other tryptamines. So, I actually find when I'm on magic mushrooms specifically that the only thing really I can have, and I can't have it in pure form, that's an over the counter stimulant, is caffeine in the form of tea or in the form of coffee. Now, I find that if I have just one tea or one coffee, it does actually accompany the trip quite well. But if I have more than this within the space of my trip, I find that it makes me panic quite quickly actually. It makes me feel uneasy. I already feel slightly more nauseous when I take a stimulant of this kind with something like magic mushrooms, and I don't really like it. But I find when I take a lot of it, it just doesn't go well. I find stuff like ginseng just doesn't go well with the stomach, and I just feel slight headaches and just a bit bad in general. Not necessarily nauseous, just kind of not right in general. Like there's something not supposed to be in my stomach. I sort of feel that in my mind as a concept, but I don't feel that in my stomach, if that makes sense. So I don't tend to mix stimulants with magic mushrooms ever. I'm not sure if a combination with psilocybin would, just pure psilocybin would be different, because I wouldn't have any mushrooms in my stomach as such. That's yet to be determined. I have found that with other tryptamines I have enjoyed these kind of stimulants quite a lot. Stimulants such as caffeine and ginseng guarana actually go well with stuff like 4-HO-MET, which is nearly the same thing. I find that they don't necessarily go well with 5-MeO-DOT, but they really add something to the experience. It's not necessarily a good or a bad thing, it's just kind of more energy. Um, yeah, that's pretty much all I can say with that. And then there's stimulants like that with phenethylamines. Now, we're talking like the 2C chemicals, we're talking like allylescaline, what's it called, mescaline. Oh, there's another escaline I've tried, proscaline, yeah. I don't know if I've done a proscaline report. Not relevant. So yeah, I find that when taking these kind of stimulants with phenethylamines, they just don't go well. I kind of feel anxious or weird, or like a nasty part of me is surfaced when I have phenethylamines with any amount of caffeine or any amount of ginseng. Weirdly enough, guarana doesn't seem to have that much of an effect, though it doesn't have much of an effect on me in general. So yeah, phenethylamines to me don't react very well with these types of stimulants. I find also LSD as well. I don't know. It doesn't seem to react well with caffeine. It's like caffeine has no effect other than making you feel like you've done something you shouldn't have done on LSD. That's it. Every time I've had caffeine with LSD, that's how I felt. I don't know why. I found with ginseng, it kind of made me feel more relaxed on LSD for whatever reason. And then on Guarana, again, I felt like I'd done something I shouldn't have done. And this isn't normal, actually. Guarana's usually quite backgroundishy for me in terms of a stimulant in any combination with anything, or alone, in fact. So that's a pretty strange effect I've experienced in combination with LSD there. Now, let's move on, let's say, to certain tryptamine combinations with caffeine and regular things. So I find things like 4-ACO DMT, DMT itself, 5-MeO DMT, AMT and 5-MeO AMT really don't mix well with these types of stimulants. I feel very mentally bad if I mix these kinds of tryptamines with these kinds of stimulants, and for that reason I completely avoid that. I feel kind of a feeling of some evil presence has entered me, as strange as that might sound, when I've taken these type of hallucinogenics with the lower kind of stimulants, the sort of non-dopaminergic stimulants. Yeah, I feel very unsettled, and just not anxiety, not regular anxiety, more just a slight feeling of terror actually would probably be the way to describe it. So again, I avoid that with that. And now let's go on to dopaminergics with hallucinogens. This is probably a very dangerous combination, just to warn you. I mean, it's probably dangerous in general to combine drugs. I mean, it is usually in general dangerous to combine drugs. But I find that actually dopaminergics, depending on what they are and the time, can react really well with certain other chemicals. For me, I find, for example, modafinil generally doesn't work very well with tryptamines. It just makes me feel really weird. I feel like I'm numbing the good experience of the hallucinogens and kind of just putting myself into a weird headspace that I just, it's not that I don't enjoy, it's just it doesn't serve a function. It doesn't feel like I should be doing that kind of thing. But I don't feel majorly wrong. It just feels like it takes away the experience for no reason, if that makes sense there. And yeah, I don't generally do modafinil with tryptamines. However, I do like taking modafinil with phenethylamines, just because for some reason it seems like I get the stimulation from modafinil combined with the stimulation from the phenethylamines, and it's an absolute marvellous combination for me. It's like I have all these kind of hallucinogenic insights and this kind of mad energy, and at the same time I have a focus point with it. So yeah, I find that great, and it seems to intensify the pleasure a little bit of phenethylamines. So yeah, I do dabble in that, or have dabbled in that. Sometimes I don't really take anything anymore. I'm pretty well, pretty well clean now. I find that modafinil doesn't really go well with LSD. I find honestly nothing really goes with LSD in terms of stimulants except cocaine, to be honest. I often feel like I'm just a fucking god when I take the two together. I don't feel like it's healthy for me, though. I don't feel like it's a good thing to be doing, afterwards. And I just kind of know it's not a good thing to do, but I don't feel bad about doing it, even though I know it's not a good thing to do. So yeah, I find that cocaine doesn't go so well with phenethylamines, but it depends on the phenethylamine. It seemed to go well with allylascoline and proscaline for some reason. It also went okay with 2CI, but it seemed really dangerous. It had very strange effects on the heart. I have never and would never try them with what they're called, embomies. I would never try them with embomies. It just seems like a bad idea. Embomies already make me feel quite strange as it is, and make me feel like there's something wrong with my heart. I think if I took it with cocaine, it would be just dangerous or very bad psychologically. But I feel cocaine mixes very well with tryptamines as well. It seems to, for me, be something that can lead me to bad parts of the brain easily, but I feel good doing it for some reason, but I know I shouldn't, if that makes sense. I often find that amphetamines don't really mix very well with hallucinogenics. You just kind of get very aggressive from it, I find. But it's not the same as with cocaine. You feel aggressive, but you don't mind. It's like you don't like the feeling of the combination. They seem to be a bit better with phenethylamines, which is strange because you'd think that they'd be better with tryptamines, but yeah, amphetamines aren't so bad. Phenidates, depending on the phenidate, really, like 3,4-CTMP, for example, can be a fun combination, but it's just not a good one. I can sort of tell whilst taking it, it's not something I should be doing, but it gives really strange focus into really bizarre things as 3,4-CTMP combined. It's just, you kind of feel a sense of you should not be doing it, and it doesn't overwhelm the experience, but you're definitely aware of it during the whole thing. And yeah, I find, I don't know, methylphenidates are just, I don't really like tripping whilst taking methylphenidates, just because it can sort of kind of blunt the experience. It kind of takes anxiety off it and gives me focus, but it kind of feels like it's taking away from the actual hallucinogenic side of the hallucinogen itself, and the spiritual side kind of intensifies the pleasure of the spiritual side, but kind of the pleasure stops me from really seeking parts of my brain that are a lot deeper and more repressed. So it's kind of just a stupid euphoria, and it kind of blunts the hallucinogenic experience in my perception. I would never recommend combining methamphetamine with any kind of hallucinogenic or stimulant or any other drug if we're going to talk about stimulants. I would say the same for the very strong bath salts. Oh, I've forgotten the name of them. I took them a few times though. The PVPs, alpha PVP, that kind of thing. Do not mix them with anything. I would not. I have mixed PVPs with phenethylamines and tryptamines. With the phenethylamines, I thought I was going to die, and I felt very paranoid and like I wanted to kill a lot of people. It was not a good idea. Do not ever mix PVPs with phenethylamines, ever. Same with meth, with other drugs. Just don't do it. It's not a good idea. I wouldn't recommend mixing them with tryptamines either. I wouldn't recommend taking them, but if you're going to mix them with tryptamines, it won't be as bad as the phenethylamines. That's pretty much a one-way trip to the psych ward. And as long, if you actually get seen by any human being that isn't you, anyone outside of the experience. But yeah, tryptamine still is, it's pretty nippy with tryptamines as well. I mean, it changes the experience. It takes away a lot of the spiritual edge of the tryptamines, and at the same time it gives you a paranoid kind of feeling of like demons and monsters hunting you. PVPs and those kind of chemicals aren't really nice to take in combination with hallucinogens. I'd say stuff like methadone, it's not that it's necessarily bad to take with hallucinogens, it just doesn't add anything. It just kind of feels like you've destroyed a hallucinogen experience for nothing. It kind of just makes you feel weird and away from things with a bit of stimulated energy, but you just, I don't know, when you mix methadone with hallucinogens, you just kind of feel numb from both experiences. Like that kind of weird retarded feeling you get from methadone overtakes everything. Just the retarded part of it, not the stimulation part of it, not the high part of it, just the retardation kind of feeling. And it sort of numbs both sides of experiences, and kind of makes you feel like you're not sure what you're doing in your environment as such. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can say, or all I can think of at the moment. There's probably other experiences I've had, but I just can't think of them right now. Anyway, that was my experience report on drug combinations. Specific combinations were hallucinogens with stimulants. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe see you next time.